live, I think. Almost. All right. Hello? Here we go. Okay. Hello and welcome to today's live, where I'm going to be talking about, am I doing enough to heal? Because I know that on this healing path, when we're dealing with physical ailments, when we're dealing with emotional ailments, when we're dealing with mental challenges, anything in our life, when we're dealing with challenges, we're dealing with growth issues, we're dealing with pain, we're dealing with trauma, there can be some deep, dark places that we go to when we are in pain and when we are trying to heal and when we're dealing with issues that make us question if it's even possible for us to heal. Okay? That make us feel like it's already too late, like we've already hurt ourselves too much, we've already been too damaged, we've already gone too far down the rabbit hole. And I really want to speak to this experience of feeling like we're hopeless and that things are never going to get better. And also, again, just like when you're in that place of feeling like you're taking your power as much as you can, you're doing as much as you can to try to heal. And like I said, you're in a position where you're in a flare-up, or you're in a trigger, or you're in a place where it feels like you lost all your progress, or you're in a place where you feel like whatever progress you had made wasn't real progress, and whatever it is, you're back in pain, you're back feeling stuck, you're feeling trapped in whatever you're doing, and or you feel like you have found some answers, you feel like you've found some things, you feel like you've found some tools that are working, but you're feeling like it's not going to be enough. Like you're not, like just because you found some stuff, just because you found some tools, you're doing some things that are working, or you've readjusted to the idea of small steps, you've readjusted to the idea of like, okay, there isn't going to be this big thing that takes me from where I am to where I want to go, there isn't going to be this life-altering moment, it's going to be a path. And then you sometimes wonder, okay, well, but like, did I find out what was wrong, or did I find this step too late? Is this step too small for how big the debt is that I'm in? Is the healing path that I'm on, it would have been fine if I had found it 5 years ago or 2 years ago, but finding it now, is it too late, right? And just basically, I really want to speak to this feeling of, yeah, is it too late? Am I doing enough? Is this going to work? Because that is such a huge part of the healing path that I kind of feel like no one ever talks about. Like there is so little acknowledgement of the very real doubt and fear and unknown that comes with a healing journey. Okay, that comes with an integration path, that comes with whatever we're doing. Okay, I know a lot of self-help and self-love and personal growth gurus talk about the loving yourself when you're down. We talk about the finding the things. We talk about taking the small steps that we can take. We talk about all of these positive things. And we talk, like I said, and we talk about loving yourself when you don't know what to do and when it's the dark moments and all of these things. But I feel like there's this practical element, right? Like we are all humans who are biology, and we want to live, and we want to survive, and we want to believe, and we want to know that things are going to get better and that they can get better. And that's completely normal, right? Like that's completely reasonable, especially when we're in pain, when we're traumatized, when we're struggling. All we want to know is that if we're doing something, it's gonna work, right? We want to know that there's hope for us. We want to believe that there is some promise, some insurance, some guarantee that what we're doing is enough and that it's gonna work and that we're gonna get out. And I know that a lot of self-help and a lot of self-love and healing preach that, right? Like the just follow the protocol, just do this, if you just do that, if you find the right answer, you will heal, and I promise you, you will heal, and you're gonna get there, and this is the surefire method, and if you do this, and if you do it right, you will get there, right? And I understand that a lot of people sell their stuff based on this like guarantee, that they make it sound like the only way you could fail is if you do it wrong, right? They make it sound like the only way that this could possibly not work is if you didn't do it right, okay? And we can glom onto that message because, of course, we want to glom onto that message. That message would make us feel like, good, okay, I have the answer, I know what I'm doing it right, and so long as I'm doing it right, I'm going to get out of this. And I can just perfect myself, I can just make sure I'm perfect, I can just make sure I'm doing everything to the T, and if things aren't working, I can self-improve myself, I can reject myself, I can nitpick myself to figure out what I was doing wrong so that I could get back on track, and then this thing is going to work, okay? And again, it makes perfect sense that we would gravitate towards thinking like that and gravitate towards messages like that, because again, it's giving us agency, right? When we feel like we are failing at our healing path, when we feel like we're not doing enough, when we feel like we're not doing it good enough, what we're really trying to do is give ourselves agency. What we're really trying to do is say, I have the answer. I know the thing. I have the guarantee. Right? And if it's not working, or if I'm backsliding, or if it's not giving me the results that I want, it's simply because I suck. I'm doing it wrong. And that's a thing I can fix. That's a thing I can improve. That's a thing I can make better. Whereas if the program isn't working, if the step isn't enough, if we're backsliding or whatever because we're not seeing something or whatever, right? That's much harder and much scarier. So we have to first just have a little awareness that if you're on your healing path and you're nitpicking yourself, okay, you're feeling like you have to do the diet or the thinking protocol or the self-love protocol or whatever protocol you want, you're thinking you have to do this perfect. And it's starting to get where you're feeling like very obsessive about it. Like, am I doing, like, you're nitpicking, absolutely like micromanaging yourself down to the minute of your day to make sure you're doing your healing path perfectly. I want you to just notice that that is likely a trauma response. That is likely you're trying to give yourself agency and you're trying to make yourself feel like you're in complete control, right? And you're trying to make yourself feel like if I just do it perfect, if I just do everything right, if I just make everything exactly how it's supposed to be, I will heal. You're trying to give yourself a guarantee. So that's the first thing I just want to put out there, okay? If you're struggling and dealing with the incessant, like, okay, like I have to get my self-love path perfect. I have to get the diet perfect. I have to get the mental game, my thoughts, everything perfect. I have to get it exactly, perfectly, specifically right. And if I don't have it exactly, perfectly, specifically right, like if I feel like I didn't love myself enough this day, or I didn't eat perfectly, or I didn't have the perfect environment, or I didn't do the perfect thing, or I didn't journal the way that I'm supposed to, it's all going to fall apart. I want you to know that's not how healing happens, okay? Healing never happens because of a perfect environment. Healing never happens because of a perfect path. Healing never happens because of perfection. Because if it did, if perfection was what was required, okay, for transformation, if perfection was what was required for healing or integration or growth or getting to somewhere that feels better than where we are right now, no one would have healed. No one would have transformed. No one. No one, no one. Okay? There is no perfect path. No one is doing any of these things perfectly. And even, like, I really just want to say, right, like the self-love tools that I teach, the being present with my emotions, your emotions, the staying in our feelings, the processing, the loving ourselves and being compassionate with ourselves when we want to hate ourselves and all that stuff. I don't do it perfect. Okay, there are absolutely days where I throw myself under the bus. There are absolutely days where I have triggers and meltdowns and I completely lose touch with reality and I go into a flashback and that's it. Okay? This is not a game of perfection. This healing does not happen because of perfection. I'm not perfect and I have healed a lot. Okay? I have fucked this up more times than I can count on any of my hands. 2 of them, I only have 2, I'm pretty sure. Okay, and I've made lots and lots and lots of progress. So just to put that out there, if you're getting caught in these loops of I'm not doing it perfect and you're starting to nitpick yourself and all of this stuff, just really step back for a second and notice that's you trying to give yourself agency. That's you trying to give yourself a guarantee that if I do it perfect, I'm in control and I'll get the result that I want. Okay? So that's completely normal. That's completely, of course, you're trying to empower yourself in a situation that feels shitty. And that's what that is. So we just have compassion for that part of ourselves and we realize, right? And just listen to my voice right now. Okay? Perfection is not how it's going to happen. Perfection is not what is required. Perfection is not how we get there. Okay? There is no perfect. There is no perfect. There is no perfect. You're never going to be perfect at your healing path. You're never going to get to a place where you use all of the tools perfectly, where your diet is perfect, where your mindset is perfect, where your actions are perfect. It's never going to happen. Okay? And that's okay. That's really, really, really okay. You're a human. You're on a journey. And it's more than okay. It's good. Okay? It's your life. It's your path. And every moment that you are you and you experience your path from your vantage point and you allow yourself to have your journey, that is the path. Okay? So that's the first thing I just really want to say. I validate you. I see you. You want to give yourself agency and you want to feel like there's a guarantee that you're going to heal. And that is completely valid. When we're in pain, when we're struggling, when we're suffering, we just want to know that it's going to work. And of course, the one thing we have control over is ourselves. So we're going to nitpick ourselves when this happens, especially when it feels like the outside world is really out of control, when we are in situations where we don't have the environment we want to be in, where we're really feeling triggered by the things around us, where things are happening in our environment that are out of our control and that are very triggering and that are harmful and that are hurting us and that we don't know what to do about. It is very common that we then extra hyper focus in on ourselves. We extra hyper focus in on nitpicking and going inside and figuring out what I can do about this and what I can change about myself and da-da-da-da-da. Because again, right, the crazier it gets out there, the more intense, the more out of control, the more we can't control it, and it seems like it's hurting us and we don't know what to do about it, a lot of us, the coping mechanism is to just turn that in, is to go deep inside, figure out what's wrong with ourselves even more, nitpick ourselves even more, micromanage ourselves down to the nth degree, because we're just trying to give ourselves agency in a world where we feel out of control, in a situation where we feel out of control. Okay? So again, compassion for yourself. When you go into nitpick territory, when you go into obsessive, compulsive, kind of like repetitively, oh my God, feeling like you got to do it perfect, it becomes like your healing path becomes something that's stressing you out versus something that's making you feel better. Okay? Like that's how we can tell the difference. When it turns from something that feels empowering and feels like it's giving you tools and feels like it's helping you along, into something that feels like it's this new bar you got to hit and this new perfection you have to reach and this new, that's when we know we've crossed into its coping mechanism territory, and it's not really dealing with what's actually going on. Okay, and it's, like I said, totally normal. When we're overwhelmed and when we're in environments, okay, that we can't control and we're feeling really triggered by our external environment, that's when we turn inside. That's when we go in and try to nitpick ourselves. It makes perfect sense, right? Because we're just trying to find our power within a situation where we don't feel we have power. Okay? So again, we have compassion for that. We really have to have compassion for that part of ourselves. We really have to see, okay, it's not really that perfection is the way. It's not really that I'm just not doing it good enough. It's not really that. It's that I want to guarantee and I'm feeling out of control. And that's okay. So we can start with that. All right? And then the second thing is that, again, I just really want to validate that when we're in pain, when we're struggling, when we're suffering, we want a guarantee that what we're going to do is going to work. We want to know that how we're doing things and what we're trying and the effort that we're putting in is going to make things better. Because we're already in pain. We're already struggling. We're already suffering. We're already working extra hard just to make it through the day in comparison to most people. Okay? And then we have to understand that in order to do something that's healing, in order to do a healing path or to embrace anything that might make our circumstances better, we have to go against our evolutionary biology that says when we're in pain, when we're triggered, when we're scared, when we're not okay, when we don't feel safe, all different words for the same thing, we want to hunker down and do what we've always done. Okay? That's what evolutionary biology wants us to do. When we're in pain, when we're scared, when we don't feel safe, when we're triggered, when we're traumatized, what we want to do in our brains and our bodies is homeostasis. We don't want to change. We don't want to do something new. We don't want to take a risk. We don't want to try something different. We don't want to go for something. Because to our brains and bodies, evolutionarily, when we were scared and traumatized and triggered and not getting our needs met, the way to keep ourselves alive was to find the most predictable, safe, repetitive environment that we could predict, to stay in that until things got quiet and we could adventure out again. Okay? Evolutionarily, the way our ancestors survived, being out in the elements in the complete unknown world, was to build as much homeostasis, security, sameness, predictability as possible. Especially when we weren't getting our needs met, especially when we were afraid, especially when we were threatened. The thing that saved our lives was being able to predict our environment. Because the more we could predict our environment, the more we could get our needs met, the more we could protect ourselves from threat, the more we could survive. Okay? So, evolutionarily, the genes that got passed on for all of us humans that are alive today are the genes that survived. And the genes that survived are the ones that were the best at predicting their environment, yes, so that they could get their needs met and protect themselves from threat. So, when we're scared, when we're hurting, when we're wounded, when we're triggered, when we're traumatized, the absolute last thing we want to do in our brains and our bodies is something different. The absolute last thing we want to do is take a risk. Try something we don't know. do something we've never done before. Because we can't predict that. We don't know how that's going to go. We don't know what that's going to mean. Okay? So this is why, again, so many of us are so unwilling to take small steps in our healing path. We're very unwilling to take let's just try this and see how it goes. We feel completely paralyzed, and we want to know either I want a step that's going to be the very perfect thing, that's going to deliver me from where I am to where I want to go. I want to know exactly how the path is going to go. I need to know exactly how the path is going to look. I need to know I have to have a guarantee that it's absolutely going to work, or I'm not going to go. And we have all of these things come up in our head of just like, I can't do it, it's not going to be enough, it's not going to be enough. So then, right, these fears that we have when we're in pain, my healing path isn't enough, I'm not doing enough, this isn't going to work, this is too little too late, I'm hopeless, I tried too late, there's just no point, this is too small, this is not enough, I'm not seeing enough progress, I backslid, all of these horrible fears that come up. Again, that's your brain and your body fighting for that homeostasis. And it does fight you to keep you where you are, right? So we can sometimes get confused even at our own selves when it seems like we're in a very painful situation. We're in a very uncomfortable situation. We're in a state that we know is not good for us, that we know hurts, that we know, right? We're in habits, we're in environments, we're in all these things. And we can see this sucks, like I hate this, it's hurting me, I'm sick, it's making me sicker, all of this. But any mention of a step forward, any mention of something that I could do from this place, any little thing that I could do to change, we automatically come up with all these reasons and all of these excuses and all of these kind of fears around how that would make it worse, how that could not, that's just not going to be enough. I know it's too small, I need the big thing, I'm not strong enough for that little step, I'm not good enough for that little step, I don't know how to do that, I'll never be able to figure that out, whatever, I'm just going to stay in this. Okay? And again, that's your evolutionary biology saying homeostasis is better. Even if this thing is completely destroying me and horrible and terrible and not what I want at all, there's going to be that big part of your biology that's like, yeah, but we can predict this. We know this. We know how to survive this. We know the routine. We know we're going to get triggered, and we know that they're going to get triggered, and they're going to say this, and they're going to do that, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and we're in the same habits over and over and over again, because that's how we know how to survive. That's how we're surviving. And again, the more pain we're in, the more we're struggling, the more we're suffering, the more we're triggered into that. So then we have this kind of double-edged sword, right, of the part of us that just really wants to stay the same, that wants to stay where we are, that wants to keep doing what we're doing, that wants to keep our habits and patterns as self-destructive or as destructive as they might be, because we can predict them. And then the more afraid we're going to be to take another step, and then the more we're going to want that guarantee, that promise that I absolutely know this is going to work. Like, this isn't going to make it better. This isn't going to be a problem. Like, we don't want that. We want, you tell me, I need proof. I need to know that this is going to take me out of this. Otherwise, I don't want to do it. Right? We're going to have that. I don't want to take a step and it not work. I don't want to try something without there being a guarantee that it's going to be the thing. I don't want to go unless I absolutely know it's going to work. And if I don't absolutely know, if I don't have a guarantee, if you can't promise me that this is going to absolutely work, I'm not going to do it. And that's why that's happening. That's our evolutionary biology saying, I'm already weak, I'm already wounded, I'm already in pain, I'm already scared, I'm already not getting my needs met. The last thing I want, the last thing I need is change, is the unknown, is to do something and have it not work. You see? So again, we want to have complete and utter compassion for ourselves. When we can see that there's a healing path, when we can see that there's a step that we can take, when we can see that there's a thing that we could do, and we're so resistant to it, and we're absolutely just like, no, 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 and our minds come up with all these reasons why we can't do it, and it's not going to be okay, and it's not safe, and I don't want to, and can you promise me it's going to work, and da-da-da-da-da. I'm telling you right now, Brooke, how do we break it? First things first, you have compassion for that part. Okay? We have to just start to witness it, because most of us, again, fully identify with that part. We don't see it as a part of ourselves that's trying to protect us. We see it as, that's me. You see what I'm saying? Does that resonate? Like, that you feel like that part that's saying, no, we can't do it, we're not going to do it, we're stuck, we're caught, we're not going to go, is all of you, right? So that's why this practicing of developing the witness, developing that part of you that can see the parts of you that are saying these things to you, that are experiencing these feelings, that are experiencing these thoughts, isn't all of who you are. Okay? This practice of developing the witness is not so that we can dissociate from ourselves. Right? There's a big difference between that's not me, I'm just witnessing myself as though I'm not connected to myself in order to like transcend myself, and developing the inner witness so that you are essentially developing an inner parent that can love these scared parts safe so that you can try new things. Because you are going to notice that there is a logical, reasonable, higher reasoning, higher thinking part of you that already exists, that can see that you want to do something different, that can reason in logic that you want to try something new, right? That's why you're sitting here listening to me. You can hear me with the logic voice. That logic voice exists. You already can see. I want you to just practice right now that you already can observe that there are two parts of you. That there's the scared evolutionary biology part, and there is also the part that can hear my logic words. But in order to change, we have to do something different. If we want to do something, have something we've never had before, we have to try something new. That you are more resourced, you are more capable than you think you are. You're not as hopeless and helpless as you think you are. There is that part of you that can hear me say that and agrees with it. Right? So you already know that these two parts exist. Otherwise, you would be saying, nope, there is no other part. I can't hear what you're saying. No, 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 no. You would be arguing with me on every point here. You'd be saying, no, there's absolutely no way. There's no point. I can't do it. If there's any part of you that can hear the logic voice and that can agree with it, there's already another part of you that is going to be capable of witnessing this scared part, loving them safe, so that together you can take a step. Okay, so again, this self-love work of developing that inner witness is the foundation for everything. That's why it is the one thing I teach, because all the other tools build on that. On every path, everywhere we go, no matter what we're doing, the more we can develop that inner witness that unconditionally loves us, that says, I'm going to be here for you no matter what, that says, we're going to figure this out, that says, I am here with you, you're valid in everything you feel and think, right? So it's not shaming the scared voice, it's not dismissing the scared voice, it's not telling the scared voice, you're wrong and stupid and this is just evolutionary biology and like, come on, let's just, no. You treat it like you would a small, scared child, because that is what it is. It's that small, scared child part of you. You say, okay, honey, I see you. I love you. It's okay. Thank you for trying to protect me. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. Thank you for being here. Thank you for trying to keep me the same, because you're trying to help me. You're trying to support me. You're trying to love me. You're trying to get me there. Okay? We have complete compassion for that part of ourselves. And we keep developing that witness who can love and support that scared part until eventually the scared part and the witness can say, okay, we're going to take a step. It's probably going to be scary. You're not going to want to do it. But logic, unconditionally loving part, I'm going to help you. We're going to do it together, and we're going to see what happens. So this path does require sometimes that we feel the fear and do it anyways. That we take the step and see how it goes. And that we learn to support ourselves in no matter how that step goes. Okay? Even if we fail, even if it doesn't go how we thought it was going to go, even if it isn't giving us the results that we want, we love ourselves. We make it safe. We say, okay, that's all right. I see you. We did it. It didn't go how we wanted it to. That's okay. What did we learn? There is no fail so long as we learn something. And I'm proud of you for doing it. I'm proud of you for taking the step. I'm proud of you for trying. That's good. You went against the evolutionary biology and we discovered something. Okay? And I'm going to make a whole video on this coming up. But that's the first little bit of this, okay? Is that we love these scared parts safe, that are so afraid, and we just have compassion. Okay, the next thing I really want to speak to is, again, as someone who also has lived my entire life with chronic illness, who has lived my entire life with pain in my body and problems in my body that I didn't know if I was going to be able to fix, that I didn't know if I was going to be able to heal, right? I've been in the situations where I'm in so much pain, I'm sick, I know things aren't working, and no doctor has any answer, and my parents are fed up with me, and I'm literally, it's just too bad, right? And I just really want to say that, like, I'm speaking as someone who knows what it feels like to lay in bed at night and wonder if you're going to die. Okay? I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to think, what if I am so sick and this is already so bad and it literally doesn't matter what I have discovered or what I discover from now on? It's too late. It's already too late. It's over. I can't fix it. I'm going to be sick for the rest of my life. I can't heal, or yeah, I'm going to die. Okay? I also know what it's like to feel so traumatized and so, like, watching myself go into a trigger and go into a flashback and none of my tools work and I'm just totally triggered and I'm totally spinning out and wondering, again, is it too late for me? Is this trauma support work and these tools and all of this stuff reasonable for someone with less trauma than me or less sensitivity than me or whatever it is? Maybe I was too weak, maybe I was too vulnerable, maybe it was too much too young. Is it possible that this isn't going to work? That even if I do it all right and even if I commit to it, I'm not going to get there. So I just really want to say to everyone out there who's in pain, who feels sick, who feels like you're hopeless, and you're really scared that it's not going to be enough, that whatever you're going to do is not enough, that you're not going to get there, it's me. I see you, and I validate you. And I don't think that people talk about this experience enough. And I just really want you to know that you're not alone. Okay? You're not alone. You are not alone. I see you. That is scary. Okay? And the next thing is, right, our culture is so afraid of talking about death. Our culture is so afraid of talking about being chronically ill. Our culture does not want to look at the idea of some people who just don't get better. That there is no magical transformation. Maybe they improve some, right? The reality that some people are just going to improve a little bit, but they're going to be sick for the rest of their lives. The idea that some of us face death on a regular basis, like face our own mortality. This is not a normal experience. Most people aren't having this experience. Most people don't think about death. Like, they don't actually, like, quantifiably understand, like, whoa, like, I'm gonna die, until they're in their 50s and 60s. Okay? When you're chronically ill, you could have been facing the idea of death when you were a teenager, a child, a young adult. And there is so little support in our world for that experience. No one talks about it because we're so afraid of it. Right? Everyone talks about the healing. Everyone talks about the transcendence or the dissociation and the don't fear death because it's all one and we're all one and everything's gonna you just evolve or you just reincarnate or whatever. And that all sounds great when you're not facing it. But when you're actually laying in bed at night, alone, feeling like your body is shutting down, you don't care that someone thinks you're going to reincarnate, right? You don't care that someone tells you it's all energy and we're all connected and whatever. You don't feel that in that moment. No one, and just dissociating from yourself and dissociating from your pain also doesn't resonate, right? I'm gonna take a shot in the dark. Like when you're really facing death, that shit doesn't cut it, right? And same thing with the like positivity platitudes and the, oh, I'm going to manifest it. And if I just think positive enough, I'll get there. And if I just do it enough and I just love myself enough and I'll just high vibes my way there. Again, when you're really facing your shit, that's why I say like it's nice and those things are nice. But you can tell the people who haven't really faced like serious stuff by the tools that they give. Because when it's just light and superficial like that, it's like, yeah, that's nice. And I'm sure it works for some people and there's nothing wrong with it. And I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not going to cut it when you're really like, am I going to die? Am I dying right now? Am I doing enough to heal? Is there ever going to be an out? Am I ever not going to be traumatized? Am I ever not going to be in pain? Am I literally going to live the rest of my life suffering and trying to heal and never getting there? Okay, so I get it. So I understand the fear of death, and I also understand the feeling of like, maybe I just want to die. Maybe I just want to quit. Because if there's no guarantee that this is going to work, right, when we're not in the high of the thinking the thing we found is going to save us, oftentimes there's that crash of coming back into the pain and realizing things didn't work the way we thought they were going to. We weren't delivered. We weren't healed completely. We're still in pain. We're in a flare-up. We're in a flashback. We thought we had gotten over something and we didn't. And we just feel like, what's the point? Like, seriously, what's the point? If this is just going to be my life for the rest of my life, I don't want to do it. Okay? So I just really want to validate both of those experiences. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not failing, and you're not alone. You're not alone. Most people just never experience anything like this. Okay? Chronic illness, chronic trauma, chronic stress, they are not the norm. And it means that you're having an experience that most people not only don't understand, they don't want to understand it. They don't want to be connected to you in it. They don't want to know the kind of suffering you're experiencing. Because that would be way too traumatizing for them. Because then they'd have to consider mortality. They'd have to consider suffering you can't change. They'd have to consider what it's like to be in chronic pain that you have no control over, or that you feel like you don't have control over, and that you don't know if you're going to be able to make better, right? So feeling like people dismiss you, feeling like spirituality doesn't even touch anything that comes near what would make you feel better, feeling like the platitudes completely lose their oomph as soon as, like I say, you feel like you're dying. You're valid. There's nothing wrong with you. And that fear that it's too little too late, we're not going to be able to heal, we're not going to be able to get out of it, we're not going to get there, completely reasonable and valid. Okay, so again, if nothing else, if you get nothing from this video, I just really want to say you're not alone in that experience. I see you, I've been there. It sucks. It's as bad as you think it is, right? It hurts as much as you think it does. And you're not alone. Okay? That's the biggest thing, to just start with that. You are not alone. And I'm so sorry that this world doesn't make room and doesn't talk about this stuff enough. That you feel so alone in it, and that people don't want to validate you, and they don't want to understand you, and there isn't a lot of places to go to hold space for that, because, like I say, that would be incredibly challenging for the other person, right? To be able to have compassion and to see into that, and to go to that place with you without going down there with you, would require that that person probably has been there themselves, and most people haven't. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. I've been there. I know what that's like, and it's heavy, and it's very dark, and it hurts a lot, and it's very scary. But again, you're not alone. I see you. Okay. The next thing we're dealing with that, how I deal with that, because I have been there. And there are recent times, right? I'm still on my healing path, physically, mentally, emotionally, where I get triggered by stuff, and it feels like, whoa, maybe my body is never going to be like healed, right? And even this can even happen when you've made so much progress and everything has gotten so much better. And like for me, I'll just say my own, right? I've made so much progress. I have so many more tools than I ever had before. I feel better than I've ever felt, but I still have to do a lot of things in a day to keep up with myself. And it's a lot of work. And I'm not healed. I'm managing really, really well. And I've made progress towards healing. But there are days where it's exhausting, where I'm exhausted. And I have to do all this stuff that everyone else doesn't have to do just to have maintenance. Where I'm in pain or I'm in a flare-up, and it's just like, like everything I do today is going to be 10 times harder because I'm in pain. And there are days where that is just so much. Like just continuing to get through the day is like, it sucks. So what I do for myself on those days is number one, like I said, continue to develop that witness and that compassion. Okay, so any suggestions what to do when parents don't want to hear about the way that what they put you through chronic stress, trauma, having eating disorders, and they prefer to be in denial. Yeah. Don't keep going to them. Like, as hard as that is, at some point you're going to realize that your parents are just going to keep traumatizing you, and they're just going to keep triggering you, and it's just going to be a cycle where you're vulnerable and you're looking for them to understand, and you're looking for them to love you, and you're looking for them to validate you, and they're not going to. So as much as you can, to start to look for that validation in places where you can get it, like starting with books, like Complex PTSD by Pete Walker, starting with like reading about it, so that you're getting some positive feedback. And I know it's not them, and it's not going to feel like enough, and it's not going to feel, you're going to want it from them, okay? And that's normal. All of us want that, especially from our caregivers. We want to hear that the people that hurt us get that they hurt us, validate that they hurt us, so that there's this feeling that our pain and our problems and all this stuff isn't our fault, right? Because usually The people who harmed us have also reinforced the idea that then our response to that, so our illnesses, our stress, our coping mechanisms, our addictions, all of these things are our fault and are a weakness in us. And all we want is for someone to be like, no, that it's not a weakness in us. It's you did this to me, right? And that's real and that's normal and I validate that. But a lot of the time, we're just not going to get it from our caregivers, and that's horrifying, okay? So we have to, yeah, exactly. So it's going to be a slow thing. It's not going to be that something makes you feel validated. You're not going to feel good about your parents not being able to validate you probably for a while. We keep doing what I'm saying, right? We develop that inner witness. You start to be able to give it to yourself. You get it from outside sources as much as you can. Books, YouTube videos, videos like this, where I can say to you, absolutely, your eating disorders and all of these things are not your fault. They are all a reaction. You didn't do it to yourself. No one is choosing to hurt themselves. I promise you it's not your fault. Your parents can't see it. And I'm sorry about that, and I validate you in that, right? So you get it from as many sources as possible. And you just start to build the reservoir. So like I said, it's not going to feel like anything in the beginning. You have to build it over time. You keep developing that inner witness, that inner compassion, you saying to yourself what you want your parents to say to you, sometimes imagining them saying it to you, sometimes imagining someone else, all of these things, books, just keep building it. And over time, you're going to need it for them less and less and less, because you will develop that inner sense of self that can give it to you. Okay, you will, but you have to build it over time. Okay, so it's the same thing with when we're in chronic illness stress, when we're in that pain of am I doing enough and is this going to work and I don't know and I'm feeling like you might be lost forever. It's the same thing. We start with compassion and continuing to build that witness that can hold us in that. Continuing to build that witness that can hold us in that. And like watch this video over and over and over again where I tell you you're not alone and I see you and it's okay. And whatever you're doing, it's true. It is absolutely true that we can never guarantee that what we're doing is going to heal us. It's absolutely true that we can do as much as we can and it not be enough. It is true. This life, right? I don't want to sugarcoat things and say everyone who tries is absolutely going to heal, because that's not reality. That's not true. And I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. It is true that sometimes we don't heal. Sometimes we don't get there. Sometimes it's not what we want it to be. But that doesn't mean that we can't love ourselves along the way, that we can't make ourselves safe, and that we can't enjoy the things that are enjoyable about life, that we can't have the fullest experience that we can possibly have in our life. And I would just say for myself, what I always did, what I always do in those moments, is I say to myself, like, yeah, that's real. I might not get there. I might not heal. I might not ever get perfect. But I want to find out. I want to find out what my potential is. I want to find out what my most expressed self could be. Like I say, it might not be what I want it to be. It might not be what I dreamed it to be. It might not be the healed, perfectly transcended, whatever. But I'm willing to find out how far I can go. I'm willing to just keep trying until there's no more to try. And I just always assumed that so long as I'm alive, there's more to try. So long as I'm still breathing, there's another step to take. There's something more to learn. There's something more to find out. And I started to shift the focus of my life from like I can only be happy and I can only be expressing and I can only be on purpose and I can only be good enough when I'm healed. Because I think that this is something that really a lot of us have deep in our core. That our life doesn't count and it doesn't start and there's no pleasure and there's no goodness until we're healed. And the best thing I ever did for myself was letting go of the idea that pleasure and purpose and good enough can only happen when I'm healed. And I just started to say, okay, this is the me that exists right now. This is the pain that I'm in. This is the version of me that is capable of whatever I'm capable of right now. Can I validate my pain? I validate that this is hard. I validate that this sucks. I see me. And there is goodness in my life still. There are things that I'm interested in doing that I am capable of. There are little steps I can take and just see what happens. There's still potential for me. I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna keep doing the best that I can to support myself. And I'm gonna accept my limits. I'm gonna accept what I can't do right now. I'm gonna accept and grieve the things that maybe I don't know if I'll ever get there. And then I'm gonna appreciate and go after and focus on the good things. Okay? Like, this is a huge thing that we really, that I say, this has been the biggest thing for me. It's not fake positivity, because again, I don't do pretend everything's fine. I don't do only look for the positive and ignore the pain and ignore the trauma and ignore the suffering and all that stuff. No. Right? Inner witness, processing the trauma when I have time. I have gone to therapy. I journal. I cry. I let myself feel down. I let myself have the pity party. I let myself have the deep, dark, oh my God, am I going to die and this isn't going to work and I'm not going to be okay. That I go there. And then, okay, I allow myself to have that process. And then I bring in that inner witness who says, I'm here for you. I love you. I'm here with you. And so long as we're still alive, there's still potential. So long as we're still alive, there's still an experience. And there are good things. There are good things. And then I force myself to look for the legitimately good things. Even if it's just, I really enjoy the feeling of this pillow. I have a warm blanket. I know I have food in the fridge. I know tomorrow I can play a game of Sudoku on my phone. Like, literally anything. And then, bigger than that, they're like, okay, but, right, I'm not perfectly healed. I'm not perfectly anything. But I still can do some things. I can still pursue a little bit of what I want to do. I can still do a little bit of what matters to me. I can still focus on something and work towards something and build a little something, right? Like, I used to just write a little blog on the internet. I really wanted to be a coach and a guide, and I didn't have money to go to school, and I had to work, and I had chronic illness, and I was doing all this stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to start blogging. I'm just going to start practicing writing. Just practice, like, little things that mattered to me. I just pursued what I could in the moment. And over time, it's all built on itself. So if we can just let go of when I am healed, I can have my life potential. And we can just come back to this moment, focus on some things that are good, where our agency is, and what we can pursue so long as we're still here. What we can do that fills our life, the life that we actually have, with meaning right now. It might not be what you want it to be. It might not be the big thing. It's not going to be the whole picture. It's not going to be everything. But you give yourself something that matters to you every day. Does this resonate? Are you hearing? Yes, going out in nature, being in nature, all these things help calm us down. right? The orienting, 5 things you see, 4 things you hear, 3 things you can touch, feel, 2 things you smell, anything you taste, 5 things that are working for you, orienting, coming into the present moment. That's absolutely step 1, right? Compassion for yourself. Step 2. Step 3, look for the things that are good. Look for the things that are good. Just really get yourself to, and not fake stuff. It has to be real to you. Look for the things that are good. And then number 5, pursue what matters to you in the way that you can pursue it right now today. Let go of the idea that it has to be this perfect thing before you can do it. And just say, so long as I'm alive, I'm going to take a step towards this thing. And if I never get there, it's okay. If I never achieve it, it's okay. This is my life now. This is the life I have now. I'm sick, I'm scared, I don't know, but I'm still alive. And so long as I'm still alive, that means there's something in me that can do a little bit. Okay, and again, and then you love that part of yourself that doesn't want to, that doesn't want to take the step, that thinks it's too scary, it's too small, it's not going to matter, it doesn't matter, your life doesn't matter, you're not healed, you're broken, no one's going to listen to you. You can't do it, you're not strong enough, you're too weak, you're too sick, you're too old, it's too late, you don't have enough money. All of those voices are going to come up. You have compassion. And you say, okay, well, but, like, right, this is what I have to live for. Something that matters to me, just a little step towards it. So long as I'm alive, I'm just going to keep pursuing it. Because you're right, there isn't a guarantee. There isn't a guarantee that we ever get there. There isn't a guarantee that we ever get healthy. There isn't a guarantee that we ever transcend. So we live the lives that we have to live as much as we can in this moment. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Okay? That's what I do for myself when I'm really down there. So like I said, the first thing is that you let yourself. You grieve that. You comfort yourself. You ask for comfort if you can get it from someone outside of yourself. You don't even have to do this all by yourself if you have access to something like that. If you don't have access, again, keep doing it to yourself. Books, listen to this video over and over. We don't pretend that's not happening. We validate that. We let ourselves go there. We process it. We don't rush through it. And then, like I said, we orient. Because usually, too, when we're in that super dark, scary, I'm going to die, nothing's working, we're in a catastrophizing place. Oftentimes, it is worse in our heads than it is in real life. It doesn't feel like it in the moment, and I know that. But we have to realize that usually when that's happening, we are in complete shutdown panic mode. So we go there, we have that, and then we develop that witness. And that's why we have that practice, the developing the witness practice all the time, so that we can use it in those moments. Okay, that's why your everyday practice of developing that witness who can have compassion for you, the self-love practice, is the foundation for all of this stuff. So that when we need it, we can draw on it. We've built that muscle. So then that part of you that's freaking out can be witnessed by the logic part of you that's saying, okay, I see you, I know it's hard, you're right, you might not ever get there, but I love you, I see you, I validate you, and we're still alive. There's still hope so long as we're still alive. There's still stuff we can do. There's still agency here. I still love myself enough to say I'm good enough just how I am. I'm good enough in this moment to have the things that I want, to pursue the things the way that I can right now. I don't have to heal anymore to be worthy of joy or attention or pursuit of what I can pursue in this moment. This is my life now. I don't have to wait to be perfect. And then we look for the good things, right? So then we orient. So let yourself have the meltdown, go into the witness, orient. So witness validates, Then we orient so that we come out of the catastrophizing. That's where we go into nature. That's where we do all the things to reconnect with just, okay, it's probably not as bad as we think it is. We connect with the things that we are grateful for. And then we look for what matters to us and how we can just take a little step towards it in the reality we're in. Because that is what makes us feel the most empowered. It may not be the promise that we're ever going to be perfect. But instead of saying, I can't have my life, I can't have what I want at all, I can't get anywhere until I'm perfect, that's devastating. When we start to develop the muscle of, I can go for it a little bit, I can have a little bit of what I want, I can at least sort of pursue it no matter from where I am right now, that feels so much better. When we know we can have joy and that we can still pursue our lives even when we're not perfectly healed, that's what makes us feel better than any guarantee will ever make us feel. Your life is now. You can start to live a little bit of how you want to live now. You can start to pursue the things that matter to you now. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be everything you want. It's not going to be exactly how you want it to be. But you're not stuck so long as you can validate yourself. And even if it's just like writing about it in a journal or visualizing it, it's okay to just start with little steps. But just remembering that your life is now. Not when you're healed. Not when it's perfect. Right? If I had waited until I was healed and perfect before I started pursuing the things that I wanted, I still would not have started. Okay? I would still be in my parents' basement, dying. I've done everything that I've done from a not perfectly healed place, from a chronically ill place. The entire transformative journey I've been on, everything that I've accomplished, everything that I've experienced, the highs and the lows and the joys and the marriage and the moving across the world and the starting a company and doing all these things, I've done this, still traumatized, still sick, but getting better. I just pursued what I could pursue in the moment. And I've lived a whole big life, never knowing if I'm going to be better. Because that's not what is required. Okay? You can have steps towards what you want right now. You just have to be willing to give yourself permission to take the steps you're capable of. And like I said, sometimes that's not going to be what you want. It's not going to be big as you want. It's not going to be as transformative as you want. But there's room. Your life is now. You are worthy now of validating yourself and taking steps towards what matters to you now, as much as you can. So again, don't push yourself. Don't go to a place where you go beyond what you're capable of. Don't pretend like you're not sick or you're not traumatized and just barrel ahead. There's a balance. You pursue what you're capable of. Right? So we're not pursuing anything. We're not overdoing it. We're being honest with ourselves of where we are, what we can do, and doing it. Okay? So, again, have the meltdown. It's real. You're valid. I see you. Face death. Right? Process that. That's a big thing. It's a big thing. Inner witness. Compassion. You're not alone. You're not broken. Orient. Come to the moment. Gratitude for what is actually real. Don't make a fake gratitude list. Okay, acknowledge what is actually working. And then take whatever steps towards what matters to you now. Right? Really, don't wait and put off your life until you're healed. Pursue what you're capable of pursuing now. That is what's going to make you feel the absolute best. I promise. And then, like I say, love that voice. Love that one inner witness that doesn't want you to do it. That says it's not enough. It's not going to be enough. You're too sick. You're too scared. You don't know. Keep loving that. Take the step anyways. And this is something we just practice. taking scary steps and seeing how it goes, you get better at it over time. It's not going to feel good in the first couple of times. You just have to keep doing it. You have to practice. Again, it's building a muscle. So just like we build that inner witness over and over again, we take steps and see how it goes over and over again. Because a lot of the time it's going to be a fail. And it's not going to go how you want. And it's not going to be what you want. And it's not going to be a success. And you got to keep going anyways. Because that's how we build a life of meaning. It's just trying and seeing how it goes. Following the stuff that works, throwing out the stuff that doesn't. That's how we're all doing it. Okay? No one knows. No one's got it all figured out. We're all figuring it out as we go. So if that's any consolation for you. Everyone who had success in anything that they're doing just figured it out. They fell down, they screwed up, they made mistakes. I can't even tell you, getting from where I was to where I am now, how many times I did something that made it worse, that really didn't help, that absolutely made things harder, were steps backwards. I was wrong, didn't know what I was doing. That's how I got here. Just a bunch of wrong steps that led to the right ones. Okay? So just know that. That's reality. We're all just figuring it out. So start to pursue what matters to you just a little bit every day. Put life into your life. Now. Because you matter now. You're worthy now. Whatever you're capable of now is enough. Just do that. Just do that a little bit every day. Okay? So, I hope that's validating. I hope that's helpful. We can never guarantee that we're doing enough to heal. But we can guarantee that we're going to do as much as we can, and we're going to love ourselves, and we're just going to see what happens. Because it's true. There are no guarantees in this life. And sooner or later, we all have to come to that. And then we just do what we can with what we have right now. Okay? Your life is now. Do what you can with it now. Don't worry about if it's going to work out. Do it now. Make it meaningful now. Make it purposeful now. Live it to the fullest extent that you possibly can now. That you possibly can. Do you understand what I'm saying? That you, as you are, possibly can. So again, that might not be what everyone else is doing. That might not be the biggest thing you want to do. Just do what you can right now. And let that be enough. Okay? I love you. You're good enough. You're worthy. I see you. You're valid. You're not alone. And as long as you're alive, there's something. And you can prioritize something that matters to you a little bit every day. You can. And you're worthy of that. Have a good night. Have a good week. Have a good day. I'll see you in the next video.